All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yahuwah. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Pick it up at John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures. For in them you think you have eternal life by me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive no honor from men. But I know you. You have not the love of Elohim in you. Come in my Abba's name and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and seek not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I was you, the Abba. There is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Shalom, gentlemen. Shalom, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. Let's be the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, man. Let's go and make it do what it do. Proverbs 15 and 30 is what we picking back up from. You understand? That's what we're working on this week. We got a lot of avenues to roll. We started grace and truth last week. We need to integrate that in today, some as well. We need to shalom, my nigga. We need to also integrate in what we've been discussing with Psalms 119. Just so, of course, you know it's a double thing. It's for you to gain familiarity with the characters to an extent, and then see how those verses relate to the corresponding characters in that 119th division of Psalms. But also, let's just give thanks to the living God for another opportunity. Oh, sleep around, do nothing. And remember, y'all should know this. It literally means, hold on, y'all. It means cease and desist. It is not a day for you to sleep, not a day just to be off of work. It's a day that was set aside for the learning of your Elohim for you to know him. You know, same way that you set aside a day to sit down with your significant other, someone who you befriended, so that y'all can take the time to get to know one another. That's what the Sabbath is for. It is a day where you have no distractions from your normal course of activities, where you can get to know the man whom you say is your God, the man whom you say is your father. It is a day where you have a complete and total devotion without distraction to him. When you understand that, then you'll take delight in it. See, we like to beat people over the head with it. See, them Christians, they keep the wrong Sabbath. See, don't be worried about all that. Because like I told you for years, most brews don't keep the Sabbath. And they thinking they keeping the Sabbath because you don't go to work, or you, quote unquote, ain't buying or selling, or you ain't cooking no food at the house, but you're not keeping it in your inward parts. You don't desire it. You can't wait for it to be over. You try to sleep it away. It's not something that you delight in and look forward to. It's something that you can use to cause strife and contention, to make yourself feel superior to someone who you're on equal footing with, because you're both unbelievers and transgressors. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Truth, no. Let's just let the truth be known. But nevertheless, we gotta wait. It's a slow stable. Hopefully it'll go off and get back right. Come on, man. That nigga running up. So boom, there we go. Forgive me if y'all see me keep smelling my hand, because I had a new cologne come in and I'm trying to catch how it smells on the dry down, because it smells similar to one that I already possess. The light of the eyes is Proverbs 15 and 30. The light of the eyes rejoice the heart, and a good report make the bones fat. Now, of course, you know that the good report, let's rehash that word, good report, for those who may not remember. Those who may not remember. Remember, good report is news, tidings, rumor, things of that sort. Of course, you should remember it's Shemua, right? News, tidings, mention. You know what? You know what? Brother Eric called me with this here earlier, man. We're going to look at it right now. But remember, right, That good news makes you prosperous. This is what the text says. That good news makes you prosperous. Now, we all know the gospel is the good news, but for some reason, you find out you're a brute. You don't want to deal with it. Come to Matthew 14 real quick, man. Shalom, man. Come on to Matthew 14 real quick. Roll with me around here. Matthew chapter 14 real quick. Like, see, I'm going to show you an example. Brother called me with this earlier, and it'll give me a good opportunity to work this in here. Because he was talking about, asked me, did Herod know about Yahusha? And he did not. And the reason why I mention that, because it's a cultural thing. We're the only people who don't have a culture. So you don't have anything to hearken to. You understand? And that's what they're bringing forth. See, right now, of course, America is known as the great melting pot. When you deal with people who come from other countries, they don't let go of their culture. That's why you got Little Haiti, Chinatown, stuff like that. It's only their offspring who have assimilated into American culture. What you don't understand is I've been telling y'all this here, and you can see it play out. They're trying to destroy it. I've seen a story today where people were out there protesting saying, do away with rent. Do away with private property. It's my God-given right to live rent-free. That ain't what you want. It's not your God-given right, because Yahuwah ain't never told you that. Yahuwah ain't never told you that. Never told you that. In the history of mankind, Yahuwah has never opened his mouth and said it was your God-given right to live anywhere for free. How do we know that? Because David didn't even want to buy the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. I'm mentioning that because we still got to revisit that in 2 Chronicles 3:1. Praise be to Elohim. I ain't forgot. He said, I'll pay for that. I'm not going to take that for free. I got to give you due compensation. You know what I'm saying? See, you have to understand something. What we had for property, that was your inheritance given to you by Elohim. If you chose to let someone stay on that property and charge them rent to dwell there for whatever you were charging them for, you was well within your right to do so under Torah and not be in any violation. You would only be in violation of Torah if you lent money to your brother and charged him interest. I lend you 100, you got to pay me back 100. I can't lend you 100 until you got to pay me back 300. No, we don't roll like that, but you can do a stranger like that. You just can't do each other like that. You understand? See, we don't have no culture. I'm mentioning that because if they once you do away with personal property, along with people not identifying with any gender, you can be any gender you want. Bring the races together. All that it is to form a global community. Because they want, I done told y'all this before, they want a totalitarian, communistic, oppressive state where there is no differences. Everyone is the same. The Lord told you he didn't bring unity. He came to bring division. He did not come to bring everybody together. The beast is looking to bring everybody together, and to bring everyone together, you must destroy the differences in order to bring them together that they may see themselves as one and walk as one. Now, I've been talking about this here because this is stuff that I've been waiting on for 20 years. Some of this stuff I knew how they were going to play it. Some stuff I didn't know how they was going to play it. And now I'm seeing it play out, and it's going down flawlessly because the people are out there asking for rent-free housing like it was their idea. You didn't come up with that. Somebody put that in your mind and made you think that's what you wanted because that's what they wanted for you. Why do you think they keep delaying the rent moratoriums and the eviction moratoriums and the foreclosure moratoriums? Because how can you cripple those who make their money off of real estate? Because if I keep pushing that back and you can't pay your loan, you default on the loan. The transfer of wealth goes back to the banks and to the government. Therefore, I can snatch that from you, and then I can hold it and I can dispense it how I want to because I don't want you to have it. Now, this is something that I've known since I was a kid. America was a social experiment, and they done with it now. These people don't care about capitalism, never have, never will. That's not their preferred form of economic system. That's not their preferred form because that's private property and private enterprise. They don't really care for that. You know what I'm saying? They don't care for personal freedoms. They done had their social experiment, and now they want to bring you onto the system that they desire, which is totalitarian. That's what they desire. No freedoms, no property, no nothing. Just slaves who can be exterminated at will. Why do you think these people just popping up out the blue talking about get rid of the police, defund the police? Because they got to do that. Because if I can get rid of the police, then I can get you to do all manner of things. And then I can bring in the global police force that I want. You gotta understand, son, y'all playing checkers, they playing chess. Because they've been plotting and strategizing this stuff for centuries. And they got you believing that you asking for something that you want, when it's really all Yahuwah's will at the end, because he pulling all the strings. But nevertheless, let me digress. Matthew 14:1. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard the fame of Yahusha. See, he heard the good news. He heard the report about it. You understand? And he said unto his servants, this is John the Baptist. He's risen from the dead. Therefore, mighty works do show themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. But John said unto him, it's not lawful for you to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him for a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. See, that's another note. I'm not telling you to celebrate your birthday if you don't choose to do so. You have to be careful with that, because some people will tell you, it's in the Satanic Bible that they consider that to be the highest holy day that they have, because it's a veneration of self. It's definitely not the highest holy day that a Satanist has. Don't be deceived in that regard. But it is a day of idolatry to a certain extent, how some people keep it, because it allows them to be so vain and self-centered, especially when you utter the words out of your mouth, it's my day. No, it is not your day. Every day is Yahuwah's day, and that's a day that he allows you to dwell under heaven. It ain't your day. Don't be so vain and so proud. You know what I'm saying? I know some people just say that out of custom, but it's not your day. You have to be careful what you say out your mouth and the thought process that it leads to. If you want to celebrate your birthday, that's your business. I personally don't care. Ain't no and see, I mentioned that because people say, see, somebody died on the birthday. That had nothing to do with celebrating no birthday. That man was killed because he told her, you can't have your brother's wife, you nasty bastard. That's what he was killed behind. He wasn't killed because it was his birthday. You know what I'm saying? That man opened up his mouth and told him, Herod, you going against the law, boy. That's against Leviticus chapter 20 for you to be with your brother's wife. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being instructed and being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John the Baptist's head and a charger. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison, and his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And the disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Yahusha. And when Yahusha heard of it, he departed thence by ship into the desert, a place apart. When the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. See, let me tell you something right here, right? At the end of the day, he was killed for standing up for that word. Herod didn't want to do nothing to him. It was all the machinations of a wicked woman, which is I find more bitter than death, the woman, because her hearts are like snares and net, hands are like bands, because she had already concocted this whole plot and plan to get this man killed. All because she was being held accountable for her actions, and she didn't like it. See, Herod pride with her. Man, how you gonna stand in front of all these people and tell me that? I can't do nothing to you because you a prophet. I don't want no problem. These people might revolt, so I'm gonna leave you alone. At the end of the day, and I'm mentioning this again, he wasn't killed because it was no birthday. He was killed because he told a man to his face he was dead wrong, and this wicked woman couldn't take that and put together a concocted a plan for things to fall a particular way for him to be killed. But when Herod hearing about Yahusha, he thinking this John coming back from the dead, because he don't know. Let me show you why he don't know. Acts chapter 16. See, let me show you why. Because I'm talking about culture right here. You know what I'm saying? And I mentioned this to the young man earlier today, right? I want y'all to understand this and know this. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Acts chapter 16. You can pick it up at verse 16. In ancient times, everybody did not deal with the book of Yahuwah like people do now. If you were a Roman, you dealt with Roman culture. If you were a Philistine, you were in Philistine culture. So on and so forth. They served their gods. They lived how they lived. They were not concerned with the book of Yahuwah. See, now when you fast forward to now, all manner of different people have the text and discuss it and talk about it. And that was not the case. That's not their culture. And when we're talking about culture, we're talking about a way of living. See, your way of living is not Hebrew garments. Your way of living is not agriculture, because that's not what Yahuwah mandated to you as a code of conduct of how you live. That was just how you made your money at that particular time in human history. You understand? That man said, I gave you a law, which is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, because culture is a way of living. It's a whole bunch of people during that time period who were agricultural, who were farmers. You know what I'm saying? Who kept cattle. That's not cultural, nigga. That's commerce. That's survival. That's not culture. You have a way of life. You don't do your brother like this. You're not going to grudge. You're not going to slander. You're not going to run with the wicked to do evil. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to slay the innocent. If this happens and you found to do that, you got to pay this man back this right here. You have these appointed times. You need to observe this right here. As a woman, you got to behave like this. As a man, you got to behave like this. As a child, you have to behave like this. This is standards. This is culture. This is order. This is how you live. When you remove that from a group of people, then they're going to search that out in the things around them that seem to be appealing. See, we wonder why we got all these problems. And the problem is that and remember, your culture is not your own. And I've told you this before. There's no such thing as a Hebrew culture. It's a heavenly culture because it was given to you from heaven. You didn't get that from a man. No man thought that up. Moses didn't think that up. Your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't construct it and built and made in heaven. So it's not a Hebrew culture. It's an Elohim culture. It's a heavenly culture. It's the culture of Shamayim. It is the culture of the creator of heavens and earth, the who of hosts is his name. You have to learn to divorce that from thinking it's about you and understand who it comes from. When you understand who it comes from, then you understand who he is. When you understand who he is, then you begin to seek to do the things that delights him because you know him. See, we're not seeking to know him. That's why you don't have a wholesome tongue, which is as a tree of life. This is why you don't understand grace and truth. That's why you don't understand it. That's why when you hear it and you automatically think that's Christian, who cares what a Christian talking about? What does this book say? Learn to divorce your preconceived notions that you got with them people, or your time that period that you was in the church and you was upset by whatever you was upset about, and understand that the text say what it say. See, you get caught up on Hebrew culture, then you forget you're supposed to be in the culture of heaven. The man told you, set your affections and desires in heaven, where the son of Elohim sit on the right hand of Abba. That's what he told you to do. That's what he told you to do. He told you, look unto me and be you saved all the ends of the earth. That's what the man told you to do. But we don't want to hear that. Acts 16 and 16. And it came to pass as he went to prayer, a certain damsel possessed with a ruach of divination met us, which brought her masters much gain by soothsaying. The same Paul followed us and cried, saying, these men are the servants of the Most High Elohim, which show unto us the way of salvation. Now, Paul, look at what this woman who was possessed with an unclean spirit said out her mouth. These men are the servants of the Most High Elohim, which show us the way of salvation. Are the people that are teaching of this word in 2020 so-called, are they showing you the way of salvation? Because if they're not showing you the way of salvation, are they the servants of the Most High Elohim? Because remember, this is Acts of the Apostles. What you seeing, and from Acts 1 to Acts 28. This is the standard that these men moved in after Yahushua commissioning the sender to preach the gospel. Remember, nobody but those 13 men at that time, and I'm saying 13 because I'm counting Paul. And you got to remember that Matthias was added after Judas was cut off, and he got that gospel too, because there were other people with him besides the 12. The 12 was just the closest one to him. The 12 was the one who seen him, or the 11. They were the ones who seen him when he resurrected from the dead. They were the ones who got taught the gospel first. And he sent them men to go teach it. I don't care nothing about what anybody want to tell you when they knew who they were. That man never told you. Ain't finna win nobody to Yahuwah talking about you an Israelite. Man, I don't care what you talking about. That man say with loving kindness, he gonna draw you. You telling somebody they're an Israelite is not loving kindness. I don't care what you say. And I'll tell Ambrew anywhere in the world till they face they line. That ain't drawing nobody to Elohim. Are we out to draw people to Elohim? Or are we out to draw people to ourselves so we can have this social club and boast and brag by being Hebrews who going to hell? Because we don't know our God. Because if you ain't got the Ruach, do you know him? Because if you ain't got it, that means you don't believe in him. You don't trust him. Do you wait? That man say, who mind who has stayed on you, he trusting you. Does Yahuwah stay on your mind? Is he in your heart? Is that what you desire and long to be? See, these are the questions you got to ask. When we get late in the game, I'm trying to tell you, boy, these folks trying to make a global shift out here to fulfill this script. They ain't trying to fulfill it on their own volition. They fulfilling it because Yahuwah is mighty and just, and everything he said he gonna do, and it's gonna come to pass. And these people gonna slay you about this gospel. You ready for that? Your faith built up that you can stand for that? Because see, all you worried about is people ridiculing you because you Israelite. Man, bump all that. You ready to stand for the Lord when these people tell you you can't do that? That man is God. You willing to take that sword upside your head, that bullet to the dome for that? You ready to go to jail for that? You ready to get beat for that? Ain't nobody finna beat you because you know brew, my nigga. I'm here to tell you. Them people don't care nothing about that, man. They just use that as a means to paint you crazy for believing in the text that they don't even believe in. They just use the script as a smoke screen. Them people don't believe in none of that. They don't care about none of that. That's the smoke screen. These people Baal worshipers, man. These people witches and warlocks, venerators of Pan and the mother goddess. We've been showing you all this stuff for a reason. You see it in your face every day. Come on, man. Beyonce just made a whole video, now the whole world talking about how she was Hathor. And cool with it. Ain't got no problem with it. Saying, how could you talk about that? That's beautiful. Pay attention. These people working witchcraft in your face and worshiping pagan deities in your face, and niggas loving it and defending it. And you worried about proving you a brew. You better be letting these people know Yahuwah is the living Elohim and Yahushua is his anointed one. Dude, when I put that junk out the other day talking about these people ain't scared to go to hell, dude, talking about, it's just fiction. You know what I told him? A word. But let this be known. Yahuwah will show himself mightily, and every single solitary person will humble themselves under his authority in due time. Let that be known. Didn't this man tell you to declare his many wonderful works? Man, let these people know what time it is that your Elohim reign. Don't be scared to tell these people Elohim reign. And Yahushua will stand upon the Mount of Olives on the last day and lay down the wicked and let the righteous rejoice. Man, you better come on with it. Dancing with Osai. I ain't even seen it. I don't even want to see it. These people showing you what time it is, man. And we around here talking about nonsense. Well, you better get your faith up. Better get your faith up. You're going to need it. I thank the Lord. Let's continue, though. Verse 18, Acts 16. Acts 16 and 18. And as she did many days. And this she did many days. So she walked around and told people every day, this man coming to show y'all the way of salvation. Being grieved, Paul being grieved turned and said to the Ruach, I command you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, come out of her. And she came out that same hour. And when her master saw that the hope of their gains was gone, they called Paul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace and unto the ruler. See, that's all they cared about. At the end of the day, We can't make no money off this. This is the reason why we can't make no money. That's a problem. Look at what they say to him afterwards. He saying, brought them to the magistrate, saying, these men being Yahudim do exceedingly trouble our city and teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans. See, that's the difference. They were letting it be known, man, these boys teaching stuff contrary to what we do. That's not our culture. Because that's what the culture is as well. It's customs. It's your manner of living. It's what you do. They're teaching customs. Hey, we don't do that. We're Romans. Oh, what they talking about? Remember what Haman was upset about in the book of Esther? They laws ain't like, oh, they diverse from everybody else. They don't live like we do. That's the difference. They don't do what we do. They don't believe in what we believe in. They don't call on who we call on. Remember how they came at Daniel? Well, the only way we can get them is through with God. Let's tell them they can't pray to nobody for X amount of time for 30 days. They don't believe in who we believe in. That's the difference. That's what they hate you for. They don't hate you because you know proof. You can't read that in the book. These people hate you because of the God you serve, because they hate him. See, let me show you that one time before we move on. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, just in case you forgot. Just in case you forgot. Just in case if you didn't know. You can pick it up at verse 1. If you didn't know, you finna know today. I thank the Lord. Not only for the word, but for that watermelon juice. That right there is some delightful, there's a delightful. They done started cutting it now. I don't appreciate that. They added lemon juice. It used to just be straight watermelon juice. Left it alone. But this day coming, they can do what they want to with it. 1 Thessalonians 4:1. Furthermore, then we beseech you, brethren, and exhort you by the Lord Yahushua, that as you've received of us how you ought to walk in the please Elohim, so would you abound more and more. So he didn't let the people, we done gave you how you supposed to walk and please Elohim. For we know what commandments we gave you by the Lord Yahushua, for this is the will of Elohim, even your sanctification, that you should abstain from fornication, that every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and in honor, not in the lust of conspicuous, even as the Gentiles, which know not Elohim, not Paul. Now, we're not going to go read it, but that's what Leviticus 20 was all about. See, now I got to go read it. So I want y'all to hear this here. Come to Leviticus 20. He say, like the Gentiles, they don't know Elohim. So they don't know what pleases him and his custom. So they out here dirty with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what these people do when they show you they worship Pan and all these other deities that they worship, because it's a lot of sex magic involved in that. These people freaky. They doing stuff you ain't on that. You nasty nigga. What's wrong with you? Leviticus chapter 20, man. I ain't finna read all of them. Just want to boom, boom, where we at with this here. I'm gonna grab a couple of them and then I'm gonna go towards the end. We'll pick it up at verse 20 and 10. Leviticus 20 and 10. And the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. That man that lied with his father's wife and uncovered his father's nakedness, both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. If a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon. Because you know, it's a lot of people who do that. They ain't my real daughter. I'm my daughter-in-law. That man say that's confusion. Let's look and see what that word is for confusion. That man say that's confusion. That's disorder. No, Elohim is not the author of confusion. He said, don't you come around here with that. Y'all's wrong with y'all. See, and there's a lot of people started stuff wrong. And you got to understand something. In America, and don't get it twisted, because these people freaky around the whole world. They way more freakier in Europe. It's sexual stuff they put on TV in Europe that they wouldn't dare put on TV here. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about them Gentiles freaky now. When you look at confusion, it's the all. Confusion. What does it mean? Violation of nature or divine order or perversion in the sexual sense. You have Tau, Bat, and Lamar. So what do you sit back and look at it? Well, they're teaching you to break the covenant of the house. They're teaching you to break the covenant of the house. Now remember, it's still all time. This is what John the Baptist rebuked Herod about. Oh, wow. Well, you can't do that, boy. You can't do that. Come over here to Romans chapter 1 real quick. He said, boy, you can't do that. And look at the difference between, see, you look at it as, see, he got that Roman. He didn't look at it because he a Roman. He looking at it, boy, that junk wicked, boy. That what you got going on? Boy, that wicked, boy. But you can't do no junk. What's wrong with you? See, we'll get caught up in this dispensation of time rebuking somebody because of their nationality versus the fact that, bro, that's just wrong, yo. That's just wrong. What you got going on, cuz? But Yahushua already done told you why people can't rebuke because you mired in your own sins. So you feel like you can't say nothing. You don't have the boldness, the confidence to stand firm and to denounce something because you're not condemning yourself, which most brews can't do. Most brews really don't want to talk about no sin because they sinners themselves. They'll be condemning themselves. That's why they like to point to each nations, this, that, and the third. Nigga, what's the difference between you and them? You think he gonna give you a pass? When you just as evil? When you just as rebellious? When you just as unbelieving? What's the difference between you and them? See, we done forgot about that because we don't care about that. That don't make us feel good on the inside. But Romans 1 and 26. Make it 25. Matter of fact, make it 24. Wherefore Elohim also gave them up to uncleanliness through the lust of their own hearts. See, a lot of the freaky stuff people be doing, this be the stuff y'all already know. You will say he'll give you up to your desires and see what your end gonna be. So be careful what it is that your heart burning to do. Because he'll give you over to it. To dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who change the truth of Elohim into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator who is blessed forever. Amen. See, that takes us back to the Hafo and the green man. See, these niggas worship the creation and not the creator. See, that's the problem. So when you come through and you bring that good news of Mashiach, that's why they mock it. You know, there's a couple people on that post, they say, man, well, hell ain't real. I say, it's very real, sir. I said, the only reason why you don't believe it's real because you've been taught incorrectly. I say, it's many scriptures for it. I said, there ain't no place up under the ground, my G. It's a real, literal location. Script tell you where it's at. Script ain't nobody in it. Now these people throw. You know why they throw? And taught incorrectly. But see, they hearts hardened now, so it don't even make no difference. And I'm not telling them about hell like, oh, you going to hell, because I didn't tell them people in their time they were going anywhere. I didn't have to tell them. They already know they're going. But I'm letting you know that what you think it is, that's what it's not. That's not what it is. To maybe spark their brain, if you who would see fit later on down the line, if I go look up at these places that he told me to read, and I see this clear as day, maybe if you who would permit, he'll turn them from opposing themselves and allow them to receive that word from someone at some time that they might deliver their soul. When they say, you know what, I was always told hell was this, that, and the third, and this is not what this book says. That's the thought process you have to have when you talk with people. They don't know what this book says. They have a general idea, but on a lot of topics, they really don't know what it says. They really going off what somebody told them. And understand they have such a problem with what they think the book say. That's why they don't want to fool with it. That's why Paul wrote, or allegedly Paul, in the epistle to the Hebrews. How can you have compassion? Who can have compassion on them who are out of the way? See, that's where Yahushua would come, because we was out of the way, and yet he still had compassion on you. Now, we're not talking about having compassion on people who just bold-facedly wicked, because if you say, we actually say they're ignorant and out of the way. You don't know. It's different to have compassion on people who know what they're doing. You know what you're doing, and you expect somebody to have mercy on you, and you know what you're doing, and you persist in it? Come on, man, make that make sense. You can't persist in crime on a natural level. These white folks gonna HO you or give you 3 strikes or whatever they do in whatever state you in and sit you down in the state penitentiary for the rest of your natural life. So if man is not gonna have compassion on you when you habitually and knowingly disregard order, what you think Elohim gonna do? Stop lying to yourself. Nevertheless, he said, who changed the truth? I read that. Verse 26, for this cause Elohim gave them up under vile affections. Even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural of the woman, burned in their lust one towards another. Men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was me. And that goes back to what you see right here in Leviticus 20 and 12. They work in sexual perversion. What it mean when he work in confusion? You violating the divine order. That ain't what he said. What is you doing? You don't have sex with your daughter-in-law, boy. Think of what's wrong with you. Leviticus 20 and 13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both them that have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. If a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness. So, Mike, just think about that. How many dudes you might hear talking about bragging about sleeping with a woman and her daughter? That man said that's wickedness. We ain't need to sit. Look at verse 17. We don't need to talk about nobody laying with no animal. I would hope you would know that you don't need to be laying with no animal. If a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing. They shall be cut off from the sight of the people. He have uncovered his sister's nakedness. He shall bear his iniquity. You gonna lay with your sister, man? What's wrong with you? If a man lay with a woman, we don't need to sit back because you already know you a nasty nigga. You around here laying down with somebody on their period. He said, don't lay down with your uncle's wife. Here it is, verse 21. This is what we want. If a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing. He even covered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless. You don't have no churn with your wicked self. That's why John the Baptist told him what he told him. Listen what he said. You shall therefore keep all my statutes, my judgments, and do them, that the land where I bring you to dwell therein, spew you not out. You shall not walk in the manner of the nation which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things. Therefore I hated them. Period. I'm back to 1 Thessalonians 4. That's why he say, not in the lust like they got. They don't know me. That's why he said that. That's why Paul said that. See, if you know the law, you would already know why he said that. That's what I mean with, if you go in the New Testament, you'll teach the law. If you're in the law, you'll teach the quote unquote New Testament. It's the same word. See, people will read right over that and don't even realize he could tell you what's in the law. People didn't know Elohim. I did that for a reason, for you to sit back for when you read this stuff, a little muffin can tell you. Because I've been telling her this from the day that she decided that she wanted to serve Elohim. When you read this stuff in these epistle letters, you need to know where he got it from in the script. You need to know where he got it from and why he's saying that. He ain't speaking his opinion. He ain't saying what he think is cool. It's script to back it. And just because you don't know the script to back that up, don't mean this man talking crazy. That means you don't know what you're talking about. That means you're not as versed in the script as you think you are. Because everything this man said in these letters, there's a script to back it. He just ain't talking just to be talking. It's just you got to be versed in the word. You got to be skilled in the word. You know exactly what he's talking about. But if you don't, then you're going to be like this here. See, I don't mess with that Paul. No, you don't mess with the word. That's what you don't mess with. But let me leave that alone. 1 Thessalonians 4 and 6. That no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any manner, because the Lord is an avenger of such, as we have also forewarned you and testified. For Elohim have not called us unto uncleanness, unto Kadash. Indeed, brother, indeed. He therefore that despise not man, but Elohim, who have given unto us his Ruach HaKadosh. See, that's the thing. If you got a problem, you got a problem with Elohim. You ain't got no problem with no man. Not if that man's speaking that word. You got a problem with God. You're going to have to take that up with him, cuz. You're going to have to take that up with him, cuz. We ain't got nothing to do with it. That's the personal thing. You problem. So y'all got to start understanding when people got you problems and learn to let people who have a you problem to continue to stay in their you problem. Because if it's a problem with you, I don't know what to tell you. I know I took a little detour, but I needed to take that detour because it was necessary for what was on my mind at the time. Just to sit back and show you in regards to culture. Because the world did not keep that culture. And I want y'all to really fully understand that. Come back over here to Psalms 119, if you would, for me, please. We're going to look at Ku. The letter Ku. We did what? Which one we did the other night? We did Zayn Wednesday night. We're gonna lead off with Coop. Let me get the verse that we need for that. Not Ka, but Coop. Excuse me. I think we already did 145. We already did Lamad, I believe, the other day. Psalms 119 and 45. Oh, let me get over here on this side. Tighten up. I need to be in a couple places. All right, cool. I'm there. There was something else I was gonna do. I remember what that was. All right, so Koof is the character that we're looking at right now. It means sun at the horizon. It means light. It means circle. It means least and condense. I can't recall what condense means off the top of my head, so I will share that meaning with you now. It gave me a different word. I'm not even going to worry about it right now. So, Psalms 119, verse 145. It says, I cry with my whole heart, hear me, O Yahuwah, I will keep your statutes. I cried unto you, save me, and I shall keep your testimonies. I prevented the dawning of the morning and cried, I hoped in your word. Now pause, because we got to go look at the Lord with this, right? Y'all remember the word for hope. It is your call. It is the wait. It is the hope. It is to expect. But I want you to look at cried, which is Shabbat. Cry out for help. Sean, U, and Ayin. That's what you have here. You have somebody who's being secured to consumption, but he knows Elohim. This is Psalms 1. We had verse 145 in Psalms 119. I've read 2 verses already. He said, I cried with my whole heart unto Yahuwah. Now, these are verses that you're going to know. And I hate to be redundant in that fashion, but we're going to do it because I want you to see this because this is dealing with light or final or back of the head or sun at the horizon. But what I really want you to think about is light. And look at what he stated. I prevented, he said, I cried unto you, save me. Now come over here, right? I'm in Mark. I'm already on the backside in Mark, so you can come on around here to it. Mark 14 and 32. He said, save me, I'll keep your testimonies. Now remember, right? We still got to talk about grace and truth. Remember, testimony is a da. That is a witness. Ayin, Dalit, and Hey. Behold and know the sacrifice. At the end of the day, you got to know Yahushua, period, and you're not going to know Abba. You're not going to tell me you know Abba and you don't know the Son. And how can you know the Son if ain't nobody never taught him to you? Because if you say to know you, if you say you know the Son because you read the gospel, he kept the law, he was a perfect sacrifice, you's a simpleton when it comes to the word. When I say simpleton, meaning you a babe, because babies are simple, because they don't know nothing. I mean, you a babe at the end of the day. Don't take it personal. Just take it what it is. Because everybody was a babe at one time, but then you grow up. But a lot of us, spiritually, you're not growing up. You stay in a babe. But the worst part is you think you're grown. And all of us know at a point in time, you thought you were grown in your adolescence when you really weren't grown. And you made decisions and it manifested you at some point in time that you were not as mature as you thought you were. You know what I'm saying? And spiritually, you're going to have to come to that same assertion and look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm not as spiritually mature as I thought I was. Because Paul had already told you, how can you call on him whom you have not heard? Meaning believed in. If nobody's actually took the time and preached Mashiach to you, how can you honestly say out of a pure heart, you believe on the man? How can you believe on someone nobody's ever given witness to? See, and again, this is my point about when the people like to mock Christians. Oh, they talk about Jesus. What about these laws? Stupid nigga. Stupid nigga. Because if you talk about the Lord, as I just stated earlier, how would you not know the law? That just shows you that individuals are unskilled in the word of righteousness. That's all that's telling you. If you tell me, what about the law? Because I'm telling you about Yahushua HaMashiach, I'm telling you about your Lord and Savior. I know you don't really know the book. Because you would know if I was telling you about him, I'm going to tell you, but how can I do one without the other? It's just not the focal point. He the focal point. We just read what Paul said, you better keep the things, them commandments. You know the commandments we gave you from the Lord. You know the way of life we showed you how to live. You think the boys coming, they boy hit the boys off with the gospel. Once they believe the gospel, man, check this out. We don't do this right here and this right here now. We don't do this right here and this right here. This is not how we don't live like that. Get that right and get your game tight. Period. You ain't winning nobody because you telling them you better stop eating pork. You know it's a sin to eat pork. Man, suck your symbol behind up. That means you ain't been sent to preach no word if that's what you standing out there leading with. If that's what you're leading with, he ain't sent you to do nothing. Y'all have mercy on his soul. As our dear brother Golden used to like, because he used to like when I used to say this here. It made him laugh all the time. And I'm saying it for his sake. That's like going to McDonald's, cooking fries and making Big Macs, and then clocking out and thinking you're going to get a paycheck when nobody hired you. Who hired you, nigga? You don't work here. Shalom, man. You don't work here. You don't work here. Who hired you? Remember what the unclean spirit told the boys, Yahushua, I know, Paul, I know, who is you? Well, y'all don't work for Allah. Who is you? How you get in here? You can't put no uniform on at McDonald's and start making french fries and hamburgers and think you're going to get paid. Well, you can't go out here and start preaching some word, talking about, oh, you who are going to pay me. That man ain't hired you to do that. You're supposed to be coming up to the register making an order. You're supposed to get behind the counter and take no orders, fix no food. You ain't good at it. That's not what you do. That's not your job. And that's okay. And I'm using something on the base level because anybody can work at McDonald's. You know what I'm talking about? But that man told you, you got to receive whomsoever he sent. Just because you know you an Israelite and you know what laws you're supposed to keep, don't mean he sent you. Because you got to be preaching that word. That gospel got to be in your mouth. And how you going to have the gospel in your mouth? Ain't nobody taught it to you. Because that's what you thought the gospel was. Telling people they were Israelite and teaching the law. You sadly mistaken. You've been lied to and deceived, my friend. You've been bamboozled. You know what I'm talking about? This is deleterious to your whole physical existence. And not only are you going to be deleterious to yourself, but you're going to be detrimental to others. All because you've been hoodwinked. You know what I'm talking about? Beguiled. You know what I'm talking about? That joint crazy, man. That joint sad at the same time. Mark 14:32. And they came to a place which was named Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, sit you here while I shall pray. And he take with him Peter, James, and John, and began to be sore amazed and to be very heavy. And it said unto him, my soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. Wait you here and watch. He went forward a little and fell on the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, all things are possible unto you. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. And he come and find them sleeping and say unto Peter, Simon, sleep you? Did you not watch 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The ruach truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. See, that's the part that we don't understand. That inner man is ready to obey Elohim. But see, you weak in that flesh because you want to do what you want to do. Why is it weak? Because it's weak to discipline and consistency. I've been telling y'all this for a long time too. Consistency is boring. If you somebody who need excitement all the time, you carnal. Because consistency is boring. It's not exciting, but it yields results. It yields results. See, most people can't get right in anything because they want to have fun too much. You want to dilly-dally too much. So you're not able to string together a consistent amount of time actually yield the benefits of righteousness. You know what I'm saying? And that's just talking about spiritually. That's not even talking about nothing on the natural side. Like you have to forsake instant gratification and fun in order to achieve something, to be great. But you know, most people can't be great because they don't believe in themselves. So you wouldn't believe in yourself to discipline yourself and shut yourself off, do what you need to do in order to get where you say you want to go. You know what I'm saying? You say you want to enter into the gates of the kingdom of Shamahin. You say you want to dwell with white robes and palms in your hands, standing before the throne of the living Elohim with a word of praise in your mouth. But your flesh weak because you won't discipline it. You won't be consistent and say, you know what? I just got to go ahead and do this here and ride out with it. Yeah, I could do this here and it's going to be pleasurable, but I'm going to forsake that pleasure for the and make that sacrifice. That's why he tell you to take up your stake. Can you make that sacrifice? Can you put to death? Can you mortify your members and delay that pleasure and make that sacrifice in order to do something great? The reason why I keep focusing on great, because he said he shall be called great in the Son of the Highest. Are you willing to do what's necessary that you may be called the Son of the Highest? Because in order to do something great, you're going to have to sacrifice. And the sacrifice, you're going to have to be dedicated. And to be dedicated, you're going to have to be committed. And if you commit, you're going to have to be disciplined. And if you're going to be disciplined, you're going to have to forsake certain things. And are you willing to do that? You really have that hope and wait and expectation for the reward to allow you to do that. Or as Paul stated, I count all things dung that I might win Mashal. You got that type of heart in you? You willing to do that? Because that's what Mashiach was willing to do in order to redeem you from your wickedness, not from his. Because he didn't do nothing wrong. That's the heart he had for you. So do you have that heart for him? See, it's an even swap, no swindle. But what he asking you to get to him is what he gave to you. See, that's why I say a good report is prosperous. That's why you'll be prosperous in your way. See, I told you if you meditate on this law and these commandments, you'll be prosperous in where you go. Well, now that remember, right? Yahushua is the word made flesh. Meditate on him. You'll be prosperous in whatever you go do, but you don't want to do that. Because see, your thoughts getting in the way. Because see, you're not watching, you're not praying. So you only think about what you want to do and where you want to go and how you want to accomplish that. How you expect to enter into Jerusalem with that mindset? Yeah, you got things you got to accomplish. We get that. We understand that. Let's not be simple. But it dominates you. The Elohim is not first. So that's not your concern. Your concern with is having fun. And I get it, because you ain't finna have fun for much longer. Because the world as you presently know it is going to be reconstrued, or as people like to say, a new order will be drawn up, of which you will not be familiar with, which will not be kind to anyone who stands for righteousness. So I get it, how yo, that we probably may, and who knows when the oppression will hit its full. You get a second, man, that's on trip. Who knows when it could be 5 years from now, it could be 10 years from now, it could be 15 years from now, but you could smell it. You could smell what they cooking. It's smelling rank too. Nevertheless. And when he went away and prayed, he spake the same words, and he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy, neither would they want to answer him. Now look at what he said. He said, he cried unto you, save me. And you see that what he doing. I shall keep your testimony. He said, I prevented. He said, I prevented the dawning of the morning and cried, I hoped in your word. When we look at prevented, it is kadam. It is to meet or to confront, to come to meet, to anticipate. Kuf, dalet, and mean. But let's look at dawning of the morning. You got Chef, which is your morning twilight. He said, I hoped and I cried and I hoped in your word. So let's take a trip. Matthew 27. You can also look at it as evening twilight. But we just said in Matthew 27 to set a stage. Matthew 27 and 1. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Yahushua to put him to death. When they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Now we sitting there, right? They bring him up out the house of Caiaphas in the morning. Drop down. Verse 46. Make it 45. Now, of course, you know, they say we need to take the body off the stake in John 19 because it's going to get nighttime. So you say, I prevented or I confronted. Remember, prevented is kadam. I confronted. I met. The morning. He hastened it. He came to it. Didn't run from it. You know, the biggest problem that people got in life is they run from their problems instead of confronting them. Go ahead and confront it, and you can go ahead and knock it out the park and be done with it. Ain't nothing good come from running from nothing. Just go ahead and confront it head on and have that fight and knock it on out. Now, of course, you know, you got sins you got to run from now. Don't get it twisted now, because you seen what Joseph did. Baby tried to get him with them yams. Joseph got up out of there. Got up out of there. You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes you got to get on your horse. You know what I'm talking about? And Fred Flintstone it and get on out of there. You know what I'm talking about? But some situations in life, boy, you got to face that head on and deal with it. Running ain't going to serve you. That's why a lot of people have the mental anguish that they have in their life. They got fears, they got traumas, they got whatever they got going on in their brain, and they run from it instead of facing it. Most of the time, people be running from themselves. They don't want to deal with themselves. And that's why you're not healthy mentally, which allows you not to be healthy spiritually. But let's continue. So Matthew 27, what, 45? Say now from the 6th hour, there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, because of course he made it go dark. So now we're in evening twilight. Yahushua cried with a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is to say, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Nevertheless, now verse 148 is going to back up in Psalms 119, it's going to back us up what we just left from in Matthew 27. And 26, excuse me, we read it in Mark 14. Listen what he says. My eyes prevent the night watches that I might meditate on your word. Now, night watches is Ashamura, which is a watch or a time period. You just read that because he asked his disciples to what? Watch for me for an hour. And what did Yahushua do? Let me go on and meditate on that word. See, let's look at the spot in Luke that I always like to look at. You see him crying out, but he hoped in that word. You already know he hoped in that word. We done discussed that. Of course, we're dealing with Kuf, that is the light. Yahushua say, I am the light of the world. If anybody abide in me, he will not dwell in darkness. He can see where he's going. But see, the thing with light is what you're looking at is someone who is facing some manner of affliction. And the first thing he thinks about in that affliction is praying to his God, and his hope and trust is in that word at the same time. That is what is being conveyed. This is what I want you to see when you're looking at Mashiach and his conduct. This is something that we done discussed a time or two. Even we just discussed this not too long ago. Mashiach was low in spirit. He didn't go by that by himself. He went and brought 3 of his disciples with me. He went and got the brothers say, come up here with me. Come pray with me. Now I got to go through this by myself. Boy, ain't no shame if you're going through something to take trusted men that you got with you and say, hey, man, come pray with me. That man said, if you afflicted, go pray. See, we don't have that thought process. This is the stuff where your faith come in at. You knowing you an Israelite ain't going to do nothing for you on that. Because you can know you in it. You know, and I mentioned it the other day. Somebody said, I used to be an Israelite. This is what they identify with. They don't identify with having faith in Elohim. That's why a group like, you can't stop being an Israelite. You big, he just told you he don't believe in Yahuwah no more. Which he probably never did. Because he didn't identify what he was doing with Elohim. He identified it with what his bloodline is. So he didn't have anything to hold on to when certain things went down. So when he see Bruce acting stupid or somebody do him wrong who say they in the faith, he ain't got nothing rooted to keep on pushing because he never had a connection to the connector to begin with. So it's easy for him to walk away because you brought him in under the wrong auspice. So now guess what? Somebody got to pay for that. Somebody got to pay for that because you've been out here lying on your foot. See, there's a difference with trying to instruct people and then sitting around talking about who he is and what he do. There's a difference. Man, witness to his greatness. That's something different. But you could tell him, boy, I serve the Elohim. Huh? Remember what Jonah told him? Who? I'm a Hebrew boy. I serve you. What you mean? Ain't nothing wrong with telling you, yeah, man, I serve the God who brought them boys out that fiery furnace. That's what I serve. Dude who got Daniel out that line then. Oh, you talking about that man who raised his son from the dead on the third day? You know what I'm talking about? Who healing the sick, raising the dead? Yeah, that's who I serve, my nigga. Oh, yeah, you talking about the man coming back with the bloody garments, with eyes red, like he been sipping on that wine. That's who you talking about? Gonna put his foot on the Mount of Olives, cause a massive earthquake? Yeah, that's who I serve. Him who was alive and is dead, who is alive forevermore, which is, which was, and which is to come. Yeah, that's who I serve, my G. You ain't know? Oh, I thought you knew. You want to hear some more about it? Oh, I got something to tell you. What you want to know? What you want to know? You know what I'm talking about? Like what you want to know. I'm not finna sit here and talk to you, but yeah, you know, we the people. I don't care about all that, man. Let me tell you about that man split that Red Sea around Pharaoh's army. You heard about that? Yeah, that's who I roll with, my G. Yeah, that's my people. You know what I'm saying? That's my father right there. That's the family I come from. You understand? What family that is? That's a heavenly family. You gotta remember, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is no longer just no fleshly lineage. That's heavenly family. Those sons of God, right? That's heavenly family. You know what I'm saying? We come from a family, don't blood. There ain't no blood in their veins. They ain't flesh and blood. They flesh and bone. It's Ruach in them. They live forever. He's the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living. You ain't know? I thought you knew. You know what I'm talking about? That's how you supposed to live. I thought you knew. Oh, you ain't know? Oh, what else you want to know? Oh, you talking about a dude that Yahusha son of Noon hollered at? He made the sun go back? A couple pages you heard about it? Oh, you ain't hear about that. Oh, my bad. I thought you knew. I thought you knew. I thought you knew. Oh, you talking about the man who said every knee gonna bow and every tongue gonna confess. Yeah, that's who I roll. That's the family I'm part of. Elohim family. See, we done transcended past that. We transcended talking about I'm an Israelite. I've been told you that. Yeah, I'm an Israelite, without question. We can hit it just like Paul hit it. Shoot, you want to glory? Shoot, I can glory. I'm Abarim of the Abarim of the tribe of Benjamin. We can get off if you want to get off. You ain't said nothing. You ain't said nothing. But no, that's what I'm not here for that. I'm here to esteem the Elohim. So yeah, you know, I'm from that family of heaven. You know what I'm talking about? Family that live forever. You know, them boys don't die. They don't die. They live forever. I'm waiting for that redemption of this body to be like his esteemed body. Because my conduct in heaven, you know, my conduct ain't on the earth. I'm not a carnal man. I'm just a godly man. I just live in peace till the Lord come redeem me. That's all I do. What you do? What you into? Oh, you into debauchery. Well, that's sorry. That's unfortunate for you. You ought to repent and live clean. But if you don't, that's on you. As for me, I'm going to keep serving Elohim. I'm going to go about my business. See, I'm going to tell you something. Try that out. I guarantee your responses for people will be so different that they're gonna want to stop talking to you for a different reason. They're gonna walk off like, that nigga really believe what he done. I'm not gonna talk to him. I'm gonna leave him alone. Or they're gonna inquire. I never knew that about him. You could tell me more. See, y'all ain't even thought about that. You ain't even think about bringing honor to him to tell the people about him. Tell them stuff they don't know about the man. Let them know his works are many. We'll be here all night. Indeed, young man, indeed. I didn't do this all night. We'll be here forever. And we sat back here to sit back and enumerate everything this man did. We'll be here forever. See, that's what the Sabbath for, so you can learn that and trust that and know that. That's why that man say, when somebody come to you, you'll be able to manifest your hope with humility of mind. But nevertheless, let's keep it rolling. I'll pick up at verse 39. We'll be redundant. It's all good. And he came out and went as he was wont to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto him, pray that you enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone cast and kneeled and prayed and prayed, saying, Abba, if you'll be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared a Malachim unto him from Shamahim, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat were as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose up from prayer and it was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said unto them, why sleep you? Rise and pray, lest you enter into temptation. Now, why am I keep mentioning that? Because you need to learn how to pray to your God. See, he said, I'm going to meditate in your word. That's Sayah. You know what I'm saying? I'm a muse. I'm going to speak. I'm going to sing. Muse means to think upon. I'm a ponder. I'm a talk. I'm a sing. I'm a speak. I'm going to put forth thoughts. So when he said, my eyes prevent the night watches, he said that I might speak your word. I might think about your word. Remember, that means to anticipate. Kadam, right? Confront. He came and confronted that, and I'm going to speak about that word. That's what faith do for you. Psalm 119, verse 149. Psalms 119, verse 149. He say, hear my voice according unto your loving kindness, O Yahuwah. Quicken me according to my judgment. Now, see, look at that, right? See, look at the Lord. Because I told you we got to talk about a little grace and truth, ain't it? So let me tell you about love and kindness, because you know what it is. That's that cassette, right? I give y'all a moment to come up with something with that. That's Kottet Dalit. I know I done told y'all something before, but I want you to think. Kottet and Dalit, cassette, right? Little mercy and truth. Y'all know about little mercy and truth. When you think about that Kottet and Dalit, I want you to come back to John chapter 1, because I'm going to read it again. And then we're going to read some places, more places that talk about mercy and truth, because I want you to understand that that's what Yahushua brought. See, as he already told you this by the mouth of the Apostle John, Moses brought you law, but Yahushua brought you mercy and faith. See, that's something totally different. That's why a good report make the bones fat. And a healthy tongue or healing speech is a tree of life, because the gospel is what heals. See, pause. Before I read John chapter 1, come to Isaiah chapter 1. I thank the Lord. Thank the Lord for the word. See, a lot of people deal with a lot of things. See, if you come around here looking for that regular stuff, you're in the wrong place. I'm here to tell you. Because I ain't got what you're looking for. I ain't got nothing but that straight drop, man. 28 and a 6, as we used to do in my time when we lived a different kind of way. You know what I'm saying? I got that type of work. That junk gonna be like this here. You're gonna be like Boston George. I mean, Eric, for real, I can't feel my face, because you don't like it. So guess what? It's who would work. You ought to love it. You can pick it up at 1 in the book of Isaiah. 1 is sufficient. Isaiah 1. What you saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, and the malice of Yehuda. Hear, O Shamahim, and give ear, O earth. Yahuwah has spoken. I have nourished and brought up sons, and they rebelled against me. The ox know his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Yasharal do not know. My people do not consider. See, he said back, say, you don't even know your dad. You don't even know your Lord. And you don't think about it. That ain't good. Sinful nation. A people laden with iniquity. A seed of evildoers. Sons that are corrupters. They have forsaken Yahuwah. They have provoked the Kadash one of Yasharal under anger. They're gone away backwards. Why should we be stricken anymore? I see you. I got you. Why should you be stricken anymore? Will you revolt more and more? The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the feet even unto the head, there's no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. What y'all think that talking about when you pick it up and pop? Well, just verses 1 through 6. And you can share when you feel ready. Just go ahead and share, especially verse 6. What you think you're being conveyed? What do you think is being conveyed? That man say, from the sole of your feet unto the head, there's no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises, putrefying sores. They ain't been closed, no bound up, they ain't got no ointment in it either. Ain't no healing. Ain't nothing to heal it. Ain't that son ugly? That's Isaiah chapter 1. He said, it's a seed of evildoer. These are wicked people. They just ain't right. They just ain't right. Now, soundness here is mathon. That means soundness entirety. Mean cow. And meme again. Not letting the word hear you. I see why you'll say that. Anybody else want to roll with it? Come on with it. We got bruises. It's kabrua. Got a bruise, a stripe, a wound, a blow. Wound already, that's self-explanatory, ain't it? But I tell you the word is pt5. Little bruise, little wound. Little bruise, little wound. Got some putrefying sores. Putrefying here is tare, fresh, new. Got fresh sores. Fresh sores. Sores is macabre, a wound, a scourging, slaughter, a defeat, a conquest. Fresh wounds. Yes. I would you. Yeah, I feel you. They said they ain't been closed or bound up or mollified. Rakak is for mollified, to be soft and to be weak and to be tender. Ain't got no tender ointment. Y'all know shaman is for ointment. Anybody else? What y'all get from that? Think about that, right? You say, why would you be stricken anymore? Stricken is nakah. That means to kill, to slay. You say you will revolt, kara, apostasy, defection, turned aside. You've been killed because you rebelled. That's what it's saying. He's saying your whole head is sick and your whole heart is faint. And from the sole of your feet to the top of your head, you're not entire, just wounds, bruises, and fresh wounds, and they ain't been closed. Anybody else? I thought y'all would have been grabbed. Y'all rounded, you in the general vicinity. Well, let's take a look. Why should you be killed anymore because of your rebellion? Romans chapter 5 tell you while we were yet sinners, Hamashiach died for the ungodly. Remember 2 Corinthians chapter 5 tells you what? That he became sin who knew no sin, that he might reconcile you to Elohim, because why should you be stricken anymore, or why should you be killed because you keep rebelling, because you sick in the head and your heart weak? Remember what he said in Isaiah, what shall I do to you with your heart being weak? And he said it's here from the sole of your feet. There's no completeness in it. It's just wounds and bruises and fresh sores that have not been closed. Chapter 24. I thought y'all would have grabbed that off the top. Luke 24 and 36. They ain't been bound up, and they ain't been mollified with no ointment. 24 and 36. Luke. And as they thus spake, Yahushua himself stood in the midst of them and said unto them, Shalom be unto you. But they were terrified and affrighted, suppose that they had seen a ruach. He said unto them, why are you troubled? Why do thoughts arise in your hearts? Behold my hand and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a ruach have not flesh and bones, as you see me have. What did they do in John chapter 20 with Thomas? What happened then? What happened in John chapter 20 with Thomas? What did they do? John chapter 20 with Thomas. What went down with Thomas? They stuck their hands in his wounds because of your rebellion. So I'm not going to close them up. It's fresh wounds in here. Then they beat him and they slayed him. Remember what he said? He was wounded for our chastisement, and by your stripes, we are healed. You understand? See, that's good news. That's good news. Now they still ain't learned, and we ain't learned from the chastisement that Yahushua called. Now, there's not on there to be hanged or to be sacrificed or to take up your state and be filled with generosity or filled with grace, filled with the Ruach, right? See, come over here to Ephesians 2 before I get to this John chapter 1, right? Because see, we're going to show you grace and truth. What some of y'all already know. Was already prophesied to come. All it is mercy and reliability, mercy and firmness. The firmness in the word. That's what he came to bring you. Because you needed that mercy. You was a sinner. The man just said you revolted against me and you don't know me. And what did Yahushua pray? Righteous Abba, they have not known you. You ain't known him. And we still don't know him at this very moment. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. Ephesians 2:1. That's the sad part. We around here boasting, bragging, and floating, and still don't know the man. And you have he quickened who were dead in trespasses and sins. Now notice here, the lamb slain from the foundation of the world, he done made you alive. Because you remember, right? We read it in the law. He said, if you commit sin, your blood be upon you. You dead. You in sin, you dead. You know that from Genesis, with Adam and Eve. They dead. You in trash. You don't rebel. He said, listen, when in time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the Ruach is now working the sons of disobedience. Now get what? You was a child of disobedience. You of your father the devil too. Now start walking in it. It's really just that simple. He said, among whom we all had our conduct in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and the mind, and were by nature the sons of wrath, even as others. So again, that goes back to what he told you: watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The ruach link with the flesh is weak, because you're walking around trying to fulfill the desires of your flesh and of your wicked mind. But Elohim, who is rich in mercy with his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, have made us alive or quickened us together with Mashiach. By grace you are saved. See, that still take you back to what you saw in Exodus. Because it's still in the law now. This is something we didn't talk about before, so I'm not going to go into great detail right now tonight. Because them people weren't saved by no law coming out of Egypt. Like I said, if you know the law, you can preach the gospel from the law. And if you're in the gospel, it's going to take you back to the law. Those people were not saved by no law. That's not what saved them. They were saved by grace because Elohim said, I heard their cries and had respect unto them. So I will come and deliver them. That would number mercy. He brought them grace and truth then, but they were too simple to see it. The grace and truth came before they even hit the wilderness and got law. Showing you how you both got to the tree of life before you got to the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but we too simple to pay attention to that. He's been teaching you the same thing that Yahushua was teaching you the whole time. And you wasn't paying attention. That's why I say, if you heard of the Father, you're gonna come to me. Because the Father ain't saying nothing different than what the Son wasn't saying nothing different than what the Father had been telling you. It's that the fact when you look at the Redeemer who was Moses ain't bring you no grace and truth. Moses went up on the mount and brought you law. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't nothing wrong with it, because them instructions good. Ain't nothing you can say bad about them. Ain't nothing wrong with damn one of them. Not damn one of them. If you got a problem with it, that's a you problem. They ain't got nothing to do with us. But that grace and truth, that's a whole nother level. See, you couldn't get life from what Moses brought down from that mountain. Because once you violated, you got to go. But what Yahushua brought down from heaven, oh, that give you everlasting life. But let's continue. He said he raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places and Mashiach Yahushua, that in ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his mercy and his kindness towards us through Mashiach Yahushua. For by grace you are saved through faith, and it is not of yourselves, it's a gift of Elohim, not of works, lest any man should boast. How many of y'all can sit back and read in the book of Exodus where the people boasted that they saved themselves from Egypt? Don't worry, I'll wait. What works did them people do to get Yahuwah to come save them out of Egypt? What did they do? What did they do? Was that not his mercy and his reliance? Did he not show them mercy by saying, I'm going to slay all the firstborn of Egypt and bring y'all up out of here? Was that not mercy and truth right there? Was that not grace and truth? You let me know. You tell me what that was. John chapter 1. 1 and 14 is sufficient. Some people don't want to hear that. Not because it's not right, it's because they don't trust in him. A lot of people don't like to have conversations that are about trusting in Elohim. Because they go to feeling bad because they feel like my faith ain't where it's supposed to be. That's okay. That's okay. That don't make you a horrible person because you feel like your faith should be stronger and I feel bad. No, don't. All you got to let somebody know is that you're weak, and those that are stronger than you can help you be strong. But sitting in there stewing in self-pity because you feel like you should be this and you should be that, and you not, it's not the way to go about it. That's not the way to go about it. That's more destructive than productive. So you got to get up all these hang-ups about worrying about how people going to view you. Because if somebody's of the household of Elohim, then their desire is for you to be the best version of yourself in the household of Elohim. Because what you want for your brother, you want for yourself. So if I want everlasting life for myself, I would want it for you. You think I'm going to sit there? You think somebody, do you know how you have to sit back and look at this person to with? If they find something humorous or this, that, then the third, because you professing, boy, my faith ain't strong. Boy, I need strength. Boy, pray that. There's something wrong with somebody who do that. That's not indicative of the word. That's just indicative of them. And you shouldn't sit back and look at every person who served Yahuwah is like this stupid pastor. That's just that nigga. That nigga's evil. You know what I'm talking about? That's it. It's really that simple. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? You transferring when people done did you wrong other avenues of your life. So you ain't at that point where you can look at them and say, okay, that nigga, that's just evil. And the spirit of God is not in him. So I'm just not going to fool with him. It's really that simple. You know what I'm saying? Don't take stuff personal. You know, get your emotions out to play and move on back to life. Because if you're about saving your soul, then you got to do what you got to do to save your soul. And if you got to link with who you got to link with. If you need prayer, hey man, ask for it. Ain't that big? That ain't a big deal. I don't know why people scared to ask for that. Y'all nigga probably was in church every day asking people to pray for you. Now you're serving Yahuwah for real. Let you tell it. Now you don't want to ask nobody to pray for you or pray with you. For that matter, some of y'all just prayed with people in the church house just to do it. Probably thinking about ice cream and candy and what you were going to do when you leave. And you need to wash this and do that. Boy, ain't no shame. Ain't no shame. Ain't no shame asking somebody to pray with you. It's so lame. It's so lame. Why? Sit back and think about it. What would be better if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people praying on one accord for one person for the same matter? Don't you see they did that in the text numerous times? I don't understand why you got that thought process. It's not that big of a deal. It's truly a light matter. It should be anyway. But let's continue. John chapter 1. I'll read verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of Elohim, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of Elohim. The word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his esteem. The esteem is the only begotten of our, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him, and cried, saying, this is he whom I spake. He that come after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And all his fullness have we received, and grace for grace. For Torah was given by Moses, for grace and truth came by Yahushua HaMashiach. So let's continue to look at a little grace and truth, a little grace and truth, a little mercy and truth. Come on around here to You know what? I'm going to do it now. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 28. We still got Psalms 119. We stopped at verse 149. We shall return to that. But right now, we'll go to Proverbs 20 and 28. Keep in mind that we got on there to be sacrificed or to be hung on this tree or to carry your stake and be filled with grace. You're going to have to get up there on that tree to be filled. If you want that mercy, you're going to have to mortify them members, David. You're going to have to mortify them members. I want you to look at Proverbs 20 and 28. Look at what it says. Mercy and truth preserve the king, and his throne is upholden by mercy. Now, of course, Kased Amad, preserve is Nasar. That is the watch over. That is to keep close. I want you to think on that. Noon, Sod, and Raj. Noon, Sod, and Raj. So it tells you that mercy and truth for Kased and Amad it guards the king. That's what guards the king. Kased and Amad. If you don't know what Amath means, that is faithfulness, that is truth, that is sureness, that is reliability, that is stability. Truth as spoken of the testimony and the judgment. Aleph, Mem, and Tau. Just look at the strength of the blood of that covenant. You could trust that. You could trust that. Of course, we already talked about Kasad. And his throne is upholden, which is Sa'ad. It is sustained. It is supported. It is upheld by mercy. His throne, and you should already know that, because what is the throne of Elohim called? I'll wait for somebody to put it in the comments. What is the throne of Elohim called? It would only make sense. Ark of the Covenant already showing you grace and truth. But that's another conversation, another day. But what is the throne called in the law, please? I just want to see who's going to get it on there first. That's all. And you also think about that Sar, Noon, Sod, and Raj, that mercy seat. See, great mercy and truth been round. See, come over here to Hebrew 4. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on around here to Hebrew 4, right? To Hebrew 4, a little Hebrew 4. Just a little Hebrew 4. 4 and 14. Noon, Sod, and Rod, what you thinking on? No. Where the highest is everlasting life. Mercy and truth preserves the king, or guards the king. So while we're looking at Proverbs 20 and 28, go and grab your Proverbs 16 and 6. Right behind this Hebrews 4 and 14. We'll knock them out the box, Rick. Shoot, you get your Proverbs 3 and 1 on with it. Get your killer with the stuff we done already looked at. I don't think we did swing in Proverbs 16, but I don't think we did verse 6. Hebrews 4 and 14. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into Shamahim, Yahushua, the son of Elohim, let us hold fast our profession. So you need to hold quickly, close to your heart, what you profess. You profess that you believe he the son of Elohim, you will profess that according to the testimony of which you have received. See, a lot of us say we believe he the son of God with no testimony of what you heard to back up that claim. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need, or find what he already said, grace or loving kindness or mercy in your time of need. That's what the mercy seat was all about. And remember, you couldn't come to the mercy seat before. Only the high priest can go. Now you can go straight to him. It is again what he tells you. Let us come boldly. Let us come with confidence to that throne of grace that we might obtain the mercy. Oh, what you waiting on? Because it said that mercy and truth uphold the throne of the king. That's what supports it. The way of the highest is everlasting life. Yahushua is the way, the truth, and the life. He done already told you this. You already understand that the Kasad is what? You took up your state, and now you filled with grace. You filled with his mercy. You understand? When Yahushua took up that stake and hung up on that tree and died, he got filled with mercy because he filled him with the Ruach. You not understand the Ruach HaKadosh is the mercy of Elohim? Because instead of being condemned unto death, you've been justified unto life by the death and resurrection of one man. See, this is how a good report makes the bones prosperous, or how a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, because that's a healing word. Remember, there was no mollifying ointments, just fresh wounds and bruises that he did not close up. Well, why didn't he close them up? To allow this man to reproduce more sons and daughters of Elohim, that you could be a part of a family greater than the bloodline of Abraham. Because remember, the prophecy that Abraham would have a seed that could not be numbered for the multitude was in reference to Yahushua having a seed that could not be numbered by the multitude. You know that from Revelation chapter 7. You know Abraham is the exalted father. Now Yahushua is your father. You are born of him. You're born of him. See, now I'm not saying that you can't say again. We're not esteeming in the fact that we Israelite. We know that. If we want to do that, we could do that. We could do that. Not boasting in that. How about you boast you a son or daughter of Elohim? Boast on that. Talk about that. But most can't talk about it because they ain't part of the family. Then you got to ask yourself, why you ain't part of the family? Because you don't believe. Well, why you don't believe? Because you ain't been told. You can't believe in what you ain't been told. Now, if you've been told and you don't believe, well, now you just got a whole set of problems that we just, I just can't do nothing with you right now. We have to talk with you later. But that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother issue. If you don't heard and you don't believe, well, I just don't know what to tell you. Now, again, listen, right? There's a difference of my faith is not as strong as I like it and not believe it. Please don't confuse it. Because remember, one of the men, when he came to heal his daughter, he said, help me with my unbelief. See, he believed, but he didn't trust that Yahushua could heal his daughter. See, that's different. I don't believe. I know you the one, but I got a problem. You got some people, I don't believe. None of that what you talking about. Who? Ain't no God up there. That's the white man's book. Dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. Dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. These people don't even follow that book. These people don't even promote that book. I said they use the Bible for control. See, anytime you hear somebody talking about somebody using something for control, mainly these scriptures, this word, that's a nigga who don't like order and don't like to humble themselves. Because ain't nobody who ain't trying to control you. You can do whatever you want to do. There's consequences for what you do. Let that be known. Who ain't trying to control nobody. You ain't got to do nothing. People like this, they try to control you to follow the book by telling you you're going to go to hell. But they control you by telling you you're going to go to jail, nigga. I don't see you out here selling dope, robbing nobody, because you don't want to go to jail and not worry about dropping the soap. You don't want to go to jail and have to worry about getting that sword up out that doggone, out that lawnmower, get that lawnmower blade and pull it up out that doggone ground. See, you don't want to go to jail and have to throw them hands. So they controlling you with that. When they tell you they don't give you 30 years, they catch you with an ounce of cocaine in the state of Florida. You ain't around here riding around with no keys, and the Fed tell you, hey, but we're going to give you 10 years minimum mandatory for the key of cocaine. You ain't saying no white folks trying to control you then. You don't say it then. But when he trying to control us. You wicked bastard. You hypocrite. I don't see you out here committing no crime, throwing rocks at the Tang Gang, but you throwing rocks at hell every day. Throwing rocks at the Valley of Tophet every day. You rotten no good bastard Jew. Shut your mouth and keep it closed. Don't you talk no more. Because you're talking out your butthole. You're just talking just to be talking. Because it sounds good. Just say I hate God and I want to do what I want to do and I'll be in hell ready to burn. I respect you more. Playing all these doggone games. Nigga, you wicked bastard Jew. And when we talk about wicked, you're disagreeable. Remember, you know the definitions of the words. You're disagreeable. You're a rebel. You're a rebel. You're a transgressor. You're an offender. Nevertheless, I'm through with Hebrews 4. What I say I was doing that? I don't even remember. I just thank Elohim in the name of Yahushua. That much I can tell you. Proverbs 16:6. That's what I want. I know we didn't talk about verse 7 in Proverbs 16. I'm gonna talk about it again. I'm gonna see who remember. At least I think I mentioned it before. I believe I have. But if I hadn't, we're gonna do it again. Make it 16:4, man, just on general principle. I think we done did it before. Commit your works unto Yahuwah, your thoughts will be established. That man will establish your motives if you commit yourself. I just want you to look at commit, Allah. Roll together. Roll yourself. Huh? Roll down together. You wanna roll away? Roll away from the world. Roll together with Elohim. You got Gamal and two Lamads. Go ahead and lift up the shepherd's teaching. Go ahead and lift up the shepherd's gospel, man. You flowing in together with him. You're rolling as one. Go and lift that word up. Let that be known. You have made all things for himself. Yea, even the wicked for the day evil. He made the wicked so he could kill him. It's okay. Everyone that's proud at heart is an abomination to Yahuwah, and though hand joined in hand, he shall not be unpunished. He hate every last one of them, and he gonna deal with him how he gonna deal with them. By mercy and truth is iniquity purged, and by the fear of Yahuwah been far from evil. And look at that. Grace and truth on the scene again. You know where purge is. That's conform. That's reconciliation to make an atonement. Why you think he say that grace and truth came by Yahushua HaMashiach? That's the only way your sins gonna get taken away. Your sins didn't get taken away by no law. Here's what the book say. Mercy and truth, by mercy and truth is iniquity purged. Your sins don't get atoned for without that, son. Ooh, boy. See, this is where you get them niggas who say they don't believe in Mashiach. You understand? This is where you get them at. They say all you got to do is say, repent. That man say mercy and truth is how your iniquity is atoned for. How you atone for that? Where the mercy and the truth at, nigga? You know mercy and truth for you saying I repent, you wicked bastard. You lying. You ain't getting around Yahushua HaMashiach. You gotta have it. Romans 10 is just on general principles. You ain't getting around it. You can try. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. People say a lot of things out their mouth. They be lying. They be lying. 10:8, Romans 10:8. Of course, verse 7 and Proverbs 16 say, when a man way please Yahuwah, he make his enemies be at peace with him. And you already know that he made peace with death. That all those who were subject to bondage, but no longer who feared death, are no longer subject to that bondage. The whole time, the same way you was in Egypt and you feared Pharaoh and feared that bondage, you know, and now he done made your enemies be at peace with you. The people told you to get up out of there. And it was all by mercy and truth what got you up out of there. Because Yahushua way pleased Yahuwah. So therefore he made death be at peace with you. Because mercy and truth purge your iniquity. So then because you fear Yahuwah, you departed from evil. You see how that works? See, when you understand the grace and truth that's coming to atone for your sins, then you'll have a different level of respect for Elohim, and therefore you'll just walk away from the evil. You understand? You'll just walk away. You walk away from being unpleasant and disagreeable and malignant. You'll walk away from that. That is the gospel. See, Proverbs 16:6 is the gospel in a nutshell. Grace and truth. Preach the gospel. Men will have their sins purged because this man's blood purged you from your sins. And therefore, you'll fear Yahuwah and you'll walk away from evil. You'll have a respect and a reverence because there's forgiveness with him that he might be feared. That's what the book tells you. But how you going to know about the forgiveness with him if you don't get the grace and the truth? So you don't know about the forgiveness. He ain't forgiving you because you an Israelite, you ignorant fool. He forgiving you because he Elohim. Know the difference. He forgiving you because that's who he is. He's Yahuwah Elohim. Forgive sin and iniquity because that's who he is. Ain't got nothing to do with your bloodline, son. Know the difference. Know who the man is and what he about. He forgive because that's what type of man he is. He reconciles and atones for iniquity against him because that's who he is. That's why he say, be you merciful like your Father in heaven is merciful. This stuff in the law, man. This ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. This is his character. Remember, he said everything the son say, everything the father do, the son do likewise. All the son was doing what his daddy had already taught him how to do and been showing him how to do. He ain't bring nothing new. You just missed it because you didn't want to know him. That's why he said, I know him. And if I was to say I know him not, I'd be a liar like unto you. He know him. So it's easy to emulate someone you know. See, we can't emulate Mashiach because we don't know him. And we ain't seeking to know him. So when we hear the good report, we always crush it off. That's that Christian stuff. We got to get back to our heritage and our culture. That's wicked nigga talk. I said it. That's wicked nigga talk. When somebody turn around and you talking about the grace, mercy, love, kindness, salvation, and righteousness of your Elohim, and they brush that off as Christian stuff, talking about we need to get back to heritage and culture, that's wicked nigga talk. Remember, wicked, disagreeable, rebellious, transgressors. That's wicked nigga talk. Because sit back and pause, right? Because I don't want to go off on no tangent, but I want you to pause and think. If I'm coming to tell you about how good somebody is, how kind they are, how forgiving they are, how merciful they are, how loving they are, how righteous they are, and you brush that off, what does that say about you? And you can share your thoughts. I didn't want to know what's your perspective of if you was talking to something, and it ain't just got to be about Ali. We talking about Ali, but you telling somebody, man, this is a good dude, man. He's a loving person. He's merciful. He this, he that, he this, he that. You know what I'm saying? You just extolling and esteeming and all the greatness and goodness in an individual, and they tell you, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about this. Like, what does that say about them? That they shifted to something that, yeah, it's about them, but it ain't focusing on that person who you discussing. What does that say about them? They're saying ain't no light in them. What does that say? Like, you got to think about that. Because when you preaching the gospel, when you esteem, that's what you're doing. You telling people this is a good man. This is a loving man. This is a kind man. This is a merciful man. This is a faithful man. This is a reliable man. This is a just man. This is a righteous man. Ain't nobody ever loved nobody like this here before. That's why I roll with it. Nah, brother, see, we got to get back to this culture. We got to get back to this culture. You know what I'm saying? Heart of stone. I would agree. That's somebody who just, you done missed, you don't even know who you talking about. You ain't ever noticed when you talking with people don't know somebody and you talking about how good they are, that's really a sign of, just like she mentioned, the heart of stone. I really hate that. I don't want to talk about all that. Because all the stuff that you talking about he is, I ain't. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I'm not kind. I'm not loving. I'm not sacrificial. I'm none of those things. Talk about this culture. You got your ZZs on. Indeed, people do prefer chaos. And it's because what you talking about, that's too boring. That's not exciting. It's not exciting. It's not exciting to talk about somebody, how merciful they are, how kind they are, how just they are, how forgiving they are. What's the excitement in that? Tell me about how you do this. Let's talk about this. Where your ZZs at, brother? Where your garments at? You know what I'm saying? You done planted some seeds, brother. You got a vineyard. Nigga, what that got to do with Elohim, nigga? You think I got to plant fruits and vegetables to know God, nigga? Where you read that at? Where he ever told you that? Because if that's the case, Yahushua could have known him. That man was a carpenter. Well, clearly Peter could have known he was a fisherman and a tent maker. See, I keep telling you, that wicked nigga talk. That wicked nigga talk. Roman 10 and 8. That wicked nigga talk at the end of the day. When they try to shift it away from the focus being on him onto something that ain't got nothing to do about knowing him. That wicked nigga talk. Romans 10 and 8. But what say it? The word is near you, even in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. That if you shall confess with your mouth the Lord Yahushua and shall believe in your heart that Elohim have raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. For the heart, with the heart, man believe unto righteousness, and with the mouth, confession is made unto salvation. For the scriptures say, whosoever believe on him shall not be ashamed. There is no difference between the Yahudim and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Who then shall call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? How shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel, for Isaiah say, Yahuwah, who have believed our report. So faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, truly. Their sound went out into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world. They had heard, they just don't believe. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Come on, let's finish this Psalms 119 before we get out of here this evening. We got more stuff to look at, grace and truth. I'm trying to weave it all in. But again, this is good tidings or good news, which makes you prosperous. Because remember what Peter said, we read it a couple of weeks ago, that you'll never be unfruitful and unbarren if you add what? Faith, kindness. Let me not. That page. It is. Remember, he told you would be prosperous if you had your faith and your virtue and your knowledge and your self-control and your patience and your godliness and your brotherly kindness and your love, that you would prosper in the. You would prosper. We're at Psalms 119. We're in verse 149. He said, hear my voice according unto your loving kindness, O Yahuwah. Quicken me according to your judgment. They draw near that follow after mischief. They are far from your law. Now, of course, you know, that's Judas and the scribes and the Pharisees when they came out with them with swords and staves. This mischief here is Zamah, a wicked plan, device, or evil plan, excuse me, an evil device, wickedness, a mischievous purpose. And why? Because they were, well, let's see why they were separated from Elohim. John 15, on the strength. On the strength. John 15, on the strength. I thank the Lord. 15 and 20. 15 and 20, John. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. And if they've kept my saying, they will keep yours also. Now, of course, he's talking to his apostles. So he let them know they persecuted me, bro. They're going to get you too. And if they believe what I'm saying, they're going to believe what you say. And it's really just that simple. It's a Ruach of truth and it's the Ruach of error. There is no in between. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. This is going back to all this other stuff that we've just been talking about. They don't know that this man full of mercy and truth. Now, I've just been focusing on us coming up out of Egypt because that's the clearest example. But mercy and truth was with Joseph to bring him up out of that doggone jailhouse and set him at the right hand of Pharaoh. You thought that was law? That was grace and truth. That was mercy and the faithfulness of Elohim, because he had promised him something in the vision. In Genesis 37, you ain't know that was grace and truth right there? You know that we could go on for days by that? Do you not realize him giving Isaac to Abraham was grace and truth? Do you not understand that? That we go on for days and days. Noah is grace and truth for days. I'm talking about not even getting out the book of Genesis, man. Just talking about grace and truth, just in the book of Genesis. I can set, by the grace of Allah, we could just set aside and pause and just go through the whole Old Testament, no gospel whatsoever, and show you that Yahushua, saying that grace and truth came by Yahushua, that would be pointed to the whole time. And that Yahuwah been doing it. He been doing it. It's not a new thing. Not a new thing. You know why it's hard for people to understand? You don't even sit back and realize that that's what David was. That he was grace and truth. Come on, man. It's just for days and days and days. You know why people don't see it? Because they're unmerciful. Now I'm just gonna read this right here. You ain't got to go grab. I did want to read it because it's our God. Why not? You can come with me if you do desire, because you know I'm going to Exodus 34. You know what I mean? I'm going to Exodus 34. I'll pick it up at verse 5. Just a little proclaiming the name of Yahuwah, if you would. Look how he proclaimed his name. These niggas ain't got that in their heart. That's why they don't like talking about it. That's why they call it Christian, because it ain't in their heart. But you know, we done went through this many at the time. Because y'all gonna know one thing about it. If you go to hell, you ain't gonna go to hell because you ain't know. I tell you that right now. That is not gonna be the reason. That is not gonna be the reason. Exodus 34, make it verse 4. You know what? The praise Elohim. That work out even better. I'm glad it came to my mind to do that. Just going to pick it up at verse 1. We look at grace and truth on the back end. Some of y'all should know this is the word, the law speaking of a new covenant. You understand? Y'all, most of y'all on here, y'all already know that. Who said unto Moses, this is Exodus 34 and 1. Hew 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and are right upon these tables the words that were in the first tables, which you break. Y'all already know that. See, it's not the new covenant, it's the renewed covenant. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man, that's semantics, my G. We get it, we understand. You read it in the language, you know what it say. We get it, my G. You know what I'm saying? It's not that serious, B. We get it. It's the same word. See, that go back to what I was telling you before. Whether it's the epistle letter to the law or the law to the gospel, it's all the same word. And the law just told you that. Make it like the first one which you break. It's all the same word. Ain't no new word. It's all the same word. It's the same thing. See, we're going to see that in a minute when we finish with Psalms 119. Be ready in the morning and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai and present yourself there to me in the top of the mount. No man shall come up with you. Neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount. Neither let the flocks nor herds feed before that mount. And he hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first. Moses rose up early in the morning and went up unto Mount Sinai as Yahuwah had commanded him, and he took in his hand the 2 tables of stones. Remember, this is after they done broke it, right? Doing what? Bowing down to little ball. Talking about this Yahuwah, little golden calf, little ball, little bull god. That's what they were doing. They done broke it. He threw it down and broke it. He said, let me come around right here and show him I'm coming with grace and truth. I'm going to make it new. Put an everlasting life into it. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to proclaim my name. See, we ain't even pay attention to that. Yahuwah descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahuwah. I just want you to see proclaim. I don't want to be redundant, but this is for effect. Because I want the effect to resonate in your brain who this man is when he called out and recited, cried out, and again, taking us back to Kuf, which was our letter of the day. Rosh and Aleph. So we can sit back and look at that. Look at it, see how the strength of the highest is light, which is Yahusha. Look at the strength of that light. Why don't we look at the strength of that light? Let's see. And Yahuwah passed by before him and proclaimed, Yahuwah Elohim, merciful. This is the first thing that he said out his mouth, is that he is merciful, which is rakum, a different word. He is compassionate. I say, who can have compassion on them that are ignorant and out of the way? Rosh, Kat, U, and Mean. He is compassionate. This is the first thing that he said, that when he proclaimed his name, this is the first thing that he mentioned, that he is compassionate. He paused. Come to that Hebrew that I keep referencing. So you have to understand that, because I go back to what we read in Ephesians. All of us was out of the way, doing all manner of things as the sons of wrath are known to do. That's the compassion of Elohim to pull you out of that, by the calling, by his word. See, when you understand that compassion, to being able to hear the word, meaning hear Yahushua, hear the gospel, hear the word of everlasting salvation and reconciliation, you begin to understand what manner of man you dealing with. See, a lot of us don't really sit back and understand the manner of man of what we're dealing with. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. I definitely don't want to. You can get to Hebrews 2 and 1 real quick, though, just on principle. Say, therefore, we ought to give more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest any time we should let them slip. For if the word spoken by angels was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received the just recompense of reward, how shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation? Listen to what he said, which at first began to be spoken by the Lord, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him. Elohim also bearing them witness with both signs and wonders and different miracles and the gifts of the Ruach HaKodesh according to his own will. He said he bear witness to that word, all that stuff. I think in Hebrew chapter 6 that I need. Make sure we are running low on time. I ain't gonna keep you here all night. Just a little bit of the night. It's 5. I was looking right at it too, like an idiot. Hebrews 5. We still got more mercy and truth. I know I mentioned Proverbs chapter 3, and we're gonna get that too before we get out of here. Hebrews 5 and 1. We finish Psalms 119 while we there too. For every high priest taken from among men is ordained for men and things pertaining to Elohim, that he may offer both sacrifices, both gifts and sacrifices for sins. Who can have compassion on the ignorant and them that are out of the way? For he that is himself also is compassed with infirmity. And by reason hereof, he as for the people, so also for himself to offer for sins. Now remember, right? That takes you back to what? Leviticus chapter 16. Come on back over here to Exodus 34. That takes you back to Leviticus 16, right? With the Day of Atonement. How the high priest had to offer for his sins and then for the sins of the people. Now Hebrews 7 enumerates, elucidates, pontificates, if you will. How Yahusha did not have to do that when he did that once, when he offered himself by having compassion on those who were ignorant and out of the way. See, that takes us back to what he was praying about, what we read earlier, because he had hope in his word. He said, what? Quicken me according to that same very word of which I trust. Let me grab the verse that we've already read this evening. Now he said what? Hear my voice according to your loving kindness, O Yahuwah, and quicken me according to your judgment. Now, of course, we know that Hebrews 5, that he was heard when he offered up prayers and supplication with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and he was heard, and that he feared. And that he feared. Now, we already read about that, about the fear part. That mercy and truth is iniquity purged, and by fear of Yahuwah men depart from evil. And when a man ways please Elohim, he make his enemies be at peace with him. And of course, you know he was learned obedience by the thing that he suffered, and being made perfect, he was the author of eternal salvation unto all those that obey him. Because Yahusha ways pleased Elohim, therefore he made the last enemy be put down, which is death. He made that be at peace with him. He has defeated it. And if you dwell in him and he dwell in you, then you have defeated it by reason of him. Now come back. So this is what you see off the top when he tell you he proclaimed that he's merciful. He proclaims that he is compassionate. The first thing that he mentioned when he proclaimed his name, he compassionate. I mean, I'll forgive you for your transgressions. Off top, that's what he's telling you. This is why Yahushua come back and tell you, be merciful even as your Father in heaven is merciful. Those just ain't words just to be stating. Do you know how many times we can go through this text and see this man showing mercy upon people who did not deserve it? Because that's just who he is. Understand, this is who he is. This is why the book talks to you about being compassionate. This is who he is. Now, kanun is the word for gracious, simply gracious. Kat, u, I'm just coming kat, noon, u, and noon again. So he's letting you know he's compassionate and he's gracious. Long suffering, which y'all know what that is. That's slow to anger. So he's letting you know who he is. He is a compassionate, gracious, slow to anger individual. And he is abundant in goodness and in truth. And what is goodness? That is chesed. So grace and truth. Boom, this who he is. He don't proclaim that in his name. That's over with. Don't sit around and talk about that's some Christian stuff when Yahuwah proclaimed his name. He said he grace and truth. So it would only make sense that he say grace and truth came by Yahushua HaMashiach and grace for grace. It would only make sense that that would be the case. That's why the good news makes the bones prosperous. See, we didn't even talk about the light of the eyes rejoice. We didn't even talk about that yet. And how a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, right? We have to get to the point of understanding, know the man, know who he is. He's compassionate, gracious, slow to anger, and full of mercy and truth. And it said abundance. So y'all know what that is. That's Rob. It's great mercy and truth. It's many. It can't even be quantified. You understand? Keeping mercy for thousands and forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the sons and upon the sons' sons unto the third and fourth generation. And he showed you right after he told him to make another covenant, he proclaimed that he was grace and truth. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Praise be to the living Allah. After that, Proverbs chapter 3. Now, we done talked about Exodus 34 so many times, but it can never get old. As a matter of fact, after we read the 2 Corinthians chapter 3, Jeremiah 32. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, right? You can pick this up at verse 12. Now, of course, I didn't read it towards the end of Exodus 34, but of course, you know, Moses' face began to shine. And he had to put a veil over his face because of the light, because a lot of the eyes rejoice. But we're going to hold off on discussing that right now. But his face shone, showed a light, showed a light. In him was light, and the light was the life of men. And in Elohim is light, and no part darkness. And if we have fellowship with him and dwell in darkness, then we lie and do not the truth. Because remember, he that confesses sins and forsake them shall have mercy. That's what he told you. And he say, if you confess your sins and forsake them, then the blood of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, will wash you from all unrighteousness. It's grace and truth all the way around the book. You're not going to buck it. I told you it's all in the law. We can literally go through this book, if you would permit, and preach grace and truth, mercy and truth, and never leave from in between Genesis and Malachi, and you would hear the whole gospel and thought we was reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and not reading not nary line from one of them. And you would know for a surety that Yahushua is the son of Elohim, the anointed of Elohim, the savior and redeemer of mankind, and that all men ought to humble their hearts and proclaim for the depths of their soul that Yahuwah is the living Elohim, and he has manifested his savior in the flesh by Yahushua HaMashiach, and serve him until they have no more breath in their lungs. That's what men ought to do. Now, what men will do, that's another conversation. 2 Corinthians 3 and 11, I suppose. For if that which is done away was glorious, much more that which remain is glorious. Seeing that we have such a hope, and we use great plainness of speech, not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the sons of Yasharal could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is finished. But their minds were blinded, for unto this day remain the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Mashiach. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that Ruach, and where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is freedom. But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the esteem of the Lord, are changed into the same image. Remember, because in the image of Elohim, you know what I'm saying? Glory to glory, even as by the Ruach of the Lord. So get this right? With the open face, you're beholding as in a glass the esteem of the Lord when you behold the gospel, because that's what he's telling you. And he said, you'll be changed into that same image. You'll be made just like him. Compassionate, gracious, slow to anger, and full of grace and truth. Period, point blank. You'll be made just like him because you would know him. You understand? You look in the gospel, you see that, now you know him. Now you know him. This is why the good news makes a bones prosperous, or a healing or curing word is as a tree of life, because it gives everlasting life. That's why you look at no mollifying ointments, just fresh sores, wounds. He's been killed because my sons have rebelled against me. See, that Isaiah 1 was showing you the compassion. And it even go even further than that with Mashiach with that, but we just didn't read all of that. Proverbs chapter 3. 3 and 1, if you would. Proverbs 3 and 1. And we didn't went over this. It's been a long time because we've been going through Proverbs for well over a year. We've had some detours here and there, but we've been consistent in being in the book of Proverbs. And we've been in the book of Proverbs for well over a year. And we still have 15, well, no, because we did a little Proverbs 31 already. We got about 10 to 12, maybe 13 chapters to go before we even complete that. And now, by the grace of Elohim, we're going to work Psalms 119 in it, the same way that we've been working Ezekiel 40 through 48 in it, and working other stuff in it. Because why were we doing all of that? For the thing that we've seen this evening, if you didn't know before, you know now, it's all the same word. It is all the same word. It is the same word. There is no difference. It is the same word. Period. I told you, and I'm not saying this here on the boasting tip. We just saying this because the boast in Elohim, because of his goodness and his mercy. If we wanted to preach the law, we could preach the law and never go into the Old Testament once. Not one time. If we wanted to preach the law, we would not even have to open up Genesis to Deuteronomy. We could preach it straight from Matthew to Revelation and never step foot. And never step foot. You've seen that to a certain extent, what you've seen in Romans chapter 1. You've seen that in a certain extent of what we've seen in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. You can do it and never step foot. And never step foot and convey everything that the law conveys. Because it's all the same word. That's the only point of mentioning it, for us to fully understand that it is the same word. There is no difference. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1. My son, forget not my Torah, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days, long life, and shalom shall they add to you. Look what he tell you not to do. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them about your neck and write them on the table of your heart. Now, we discussed this again, Kased in the mouth all day long. Don't forsake, which is azar. Don't lose it. Don't abandon it. Don't neglect it. Don't become an apostate. Who don't know what an apostate is? Because we know Paul talk a little about people being in apostasy. Who don't know what an apostate is? I know it'll take y'all a second to get on there with that. Who doesn't know what an apostate is? I'll take you to the verse about that in a moment. Everybody good? Y'all know what an apostate is? Taking that you do? Going once? Going twice? Well, okay. An apostasy is the abandonment of the word. Simply what it means. Apostasy is an abandoning of the word. You have renounced the word, you have rejected the word, and that's really just that plain. It's just rejecting the word. You refuse to follow. Come over here to 1 John, I want to say chapter 2. 1 John chapter 2. Yeah, 1 John chapter 2. First John chapter 2, verse 13. After that, John chapter 6. A lot of brews like to use what we finna look at in First John to talk about people who are walking with a congregation. And make sure I'm in the right spot. I'll pick this up at about verse 12. First John 2 and 12. The apostasy is to turn away, forsake the word. And that goes back to something that we done discussed, which is if you forsake him, he will forsake you. And a lot of people have committed apostasy by renouncing the word and turning from Elohim. First John 2 and 12. I write unto you, little sons, because your sins are forgiven you for his name's sake. I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I write unto you, young men, because you've overcome the wicked one. I write unto you, little sons, because you have known Abba. I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I write unto you, young men, because you are strong, and the word of Elohim abide in you, and you have overcome the wicked one. See, listen to what he's telling you. You've known him from, he said, you young men, you strong, because the word in you, this is how you overcome the wicked one. He said, you fathers, you older men, you known him from the beginning. Notice that he said the fathers, the older men, they known him from the beginning, but the young men, you strong. Because that word dwell in you. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of Abba is not in it. All that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of Abba, but is of the world. The world pass away, and the lust thereof. He that do the will of Elohim live forever. Little sons, is the last time, as you've heard, that the anti-Mashiach shall come. Even now, there are many anti-Mashiachs, whereby we know that it is the last time. Listen to what he says. They went out from us, but they were not of us. If they had been of us, they would have no doubt continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. See what he said, what he's telling you, right? They were with us. But if they would have been with us, they would have kept going. See, a lot of people don't keep going. See, a lot of people say that, see, they left the congregation. And that's what a lot of One West people do. That ain't what that's talking about. That's talking about people who rejected Elohim, not left your congregation. Unfortunately, the common theme, I can't say that this is true 100% of the time, that a lot of people leave people congregations and they stop keeping the word. And that's why a lot of people say that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if you left a congregation but went to another congregation or continued to serve Elohim, then that don't apply to you. But if you went back, that applies to you because you went out from us, but you were not of us, meaning you was not of God to begin with. Because if you had been of God, you would have continued with God. But when you went out, it was made manifest. You ain't of God. John 6 to back it up. Look, John 6 to back it up. 6 and 63, if you would. Make it 6 and 60. John 6 and 60. John 6 and 60. We're still in Proverbs. Finish this here in Proverbs 3. And there are many, many, many examples of people forsaking Elohim in this text. Many, therefore, of his disciples, when they heard this is a hard saying, who could hear it? When Yahushua knew it himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, does this offend you? What and if you shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? Is the Ruach that make alive? The flesh profit nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach and they are life. But there are some of you that believe not, for Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were that believe not and who should betray him. And he said, therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except it would give it unto him of my Abba. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. Then said Yahushua unto the 12, will you also go away? Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life, and we believe and are sure that you are the Mashiach, the Son of the living Elohim. Right then and there, they committed apostasy. They forsook him. They stopped following him because they didn't believe him. They let mercy and truth. They forsook it. They forsook it. He told you, don't let that mercy and that faith forsake you. He said, bind it about your neck. Bind it about your neck and write it on the table of your heart. You know that Paul had made that mention. The word for table there is luach. If you don't remember, we just read about them tables of stone. That's lamad, and kai. Go ahead and get secure to the shepherd's teaching and be separated. He said, right, remember what he told you? He said, not written on tables of stone, but fleshly tables of the heart. If grace and truth in your heart, that means the mercy and the reliability of Elohim is in your heart. How could you fold? He says, listen what he says, so you'll find favor and good understanding in the sight of Elohim and men. Trust in Yahuwah with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes, fear Yahuwah, and depart from evil. But see, you're not going to be able to trust in Yahuwah with all your heart and find favor and good understanding in the sight of Elohim and man, because you done forsook grace and truth. You done forsook Yahushua. Just what you've seen in John chapter 6. Oh, don't do it, baby. Don't do it. Let's finish Psalms 119 and call this an evening. Baby, don't do it. We are in, I will read verse 150 one more time, Psalms 119. They draw near that follow after mischief. They are far from Torah. Listen what he said. You art near, O Yahuwah, and all your commandments are true. See, that's what a lot of people say. You got to keep that law. See, his commandments true. All he telling you is his instructions are amaf. They're faithful. His commandments are faithful. What did he command you to do? Believe on his son. And karab is the word for near. Near, place, time, kinship, personal relationship. And what? You could be kin of Elohim, right? Godhead, right? But verse 152 is what we'll finish with. He said, concerning your testimonies, I have known of old that you have founded them forever. Then we just say, he say, you've known from the beginning. Of course, you know testimonies is Adah, known as Yada, of old is Kadem, founded is Yesod, and then Olam, Yesod for found, which is to lay a foundation or fix. You know, that's Yod, and that's Tet, and that's Dalet. You can see how the work is contained in the door, if you would. But look at it, he say concerning the testimony, because you know the Lamb has been slain from the foundation of the world, and you've known this from the beginning. 3 John, the third epistle of John. Because I just want to read what he said right here. 3rd epistle of John. I want to pick this up at verse 3. Make sure verse 3, even what I want. Might be 2nd John. 2nd John is what I want, actually. 2nd John and verse 1. 2nd John. The 2nd epistle of John and verse 1. The elder unto the elect lady and her sons, whom I love in truth, and not I only, but also they that have known the truth. See, if you know Yahushua, that's different. Knowing the truth is not knowing you an Israelite. You know Elohim. We already know that because what did the law just say? He's abundant in goodness and truth. He's abundant in grace and truth. You know the truth. You know how kind, loving, merciful, forgiving, and righteous and just your God is. And therefore, if you've known the truth, you're not only gonna love the people that you know who love Elohim. You're gonna love those who you know that know the truth. You're gonna love them too, because you're all in His image. For the truth's sake, which dwell in us and shall be with us forever. Grace be with you, mercy and shalom. From Elohim Abba and from the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of Abba, in truth and love. I rejoice greatly that I found your sons walking in truth, as we have received commandment from Abba. And now I beseech you, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto you, but that which we've had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk after his instructions. This is the instruction, that as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. If you walk in Mashiach, how could you not be walking in love and walking in his instructions? When that's what he did. And what did he instruct you to do? But to love him with all your heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And that's exactly what the son did, because he loved you as himself. And he loved you enough that he laid his life down for you. Clearly, he loved his father because his father told him to do it. Hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. I bless y'all at the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Went through a lot, still got more to go. But the key component is to understand what the grace and truth is, who this man is, what he's about, and why he manifests grace and truth unto the people. We've knocked out Zayin and Kuth. We got 3 more because we got characters that we don't always discuss that we're going to look at first. But just think about that. Ponder about that. And again, I leave you with this. The man sat down and told you off the top that he was compassionate and gracious, that he's slow to anger, and that he is full of mercy and truth. Has great mercy and truth. This is what he did when he decided to proclaim his name after you broke his covenant and he made you another. He made you another one and made it to be known that I'm compassionate, I'm gracious, I'm slow to anger, and I have great mercy and truth. When you understand that and you can see that from the Father when you did wrong because you was out of pocket and he manifested that to you, because how many times did you size him in the wilderness and he was slow to anger and wiping you out? How many times was he full and true for telling you that he would give you a land full of milk and honey and he took you there? How many times did he show mercy when you were hungry and you were thirsty and when your enemies tried to slaughter you and he smashed every one of them and provided for your every need? He told you when I suffered you the hunger that I might humble you to know what was in your heart. He said your shoes did not get old, neither did your clothes. I fed you with manna, angels' food from heaven. Come on, man. I mean, the thing that the whole time, man. It's there. Learn him, know him, and you'll live forever. He guaranteed you that. I'm not guaranteeing you that. He guaranteed you that. But you got to learn to him. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn to him. You got to know him, know who he is, and take that on. All that other stuff we be on, that junk ain't hitting on nothing. Ain't hitting on nothing. Because you still don't know your God. You know a lot of information, but you don't know your God. But again, I bless y'all at the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate you who are willing. You know, we'll pick it up on tomorrow and make it do what it do. But until that time, I bid you adieu.